Boys and girls, yes, it is the $300 minimum 44 variant here on December 28th. We're hopping in here toward our first quarterfinal matchup taking place between HavoK Esports and A. Yes, that is their team name. Not that it's not, you know, a nice team name, but it is A with, what, is that 6 E's on it? We're just going to go and use a few. Not exactly sure how many is on the scoreboard. Looks like there is only one. But still, looking on, of course, we do have HavoK Esports going up against this group in A. Of course, HavoK consisting of MRuiz, Kade, Bxldyyy, and Holler. And, of course, the crew over on A is Legend, Fraxiile, Danglez, and Pemby, a.k.a. Pemgoat. And looks like off the break, we are going to be taking a look here at Gibraltar. Hardpoint number 1 taking place in middle, as it is at least an early start, as Legend will come through with the stab, but an early lead toward the guys on HavoK Esports. And it looks like they have flipped the spawns in their favor. As we do kind of take a look at the scorecard on the top right, as the rotation starts to come in, most likely you're going to be aware of quite a few, if not all, of the players on HavoK Esports. Of course, MRuiz, Kade, and Holler, all players playing on the E6 prior, as I believe they just recently made a roster change, if my mind has not served me correct, unless they're just playing with Bxldyyy as like a potential fill-in. Tried to find a little bit with that, but couldn't really find anything, so I believe they were previously playing with Bxldyyy. I know they had like a top 32 placement at Dallas, so definitely something to kind of write home about. I think it's fair to say with this group, but I know a lot of the teams that we were talking about in the prior series would have died to have a top 32 placement over a, what was it, top 112 one that we had from American Clan. Sorry, I just had to say that again. But still, very curious to see how this group obviously performs. And I think, honestly, whether or not this changes just for the tournament or whatever it may be, you know, Bxldyyy is a really solid player. I remember casting over this guy in Search and Destroy tournaments back in Black Ops 3 and was just really, really impressed with him. I want to say that he was playing with, like, Goatism and guys like that, so very curious to see how his performance does when it comes, and especially the respawns, because I think it's fair to say that when you got guys like Kade, MRuiz, Holler, all these guys, they're going to be pretty solid when it comes down to those respawns. They're really going to need him in the Search and Destroys, but still, advancing on here toward Castle Road as we hop back in here toward the gameplay. This, to me, is my unidentified but kind of thought as the Money Hill when it comes down to Gibraltar. I think if you can lock down Castle Road, I think generally, as Pemby finds 2 along with that, Fraxiile finding the 3rd, generally if you're holding a certain amount of positions, as Danglez is holding 1, you watch through mid-street, you watch your middle cut, then you obviously watch the flank back inside of cave. As long as you win the 1v1s that you're supposed to, you can kind of lock down this hill. But of course, they're not watching through mid-street, so that allows MRuiz to get a little bit of kind of early positioning on the guys who are trying to attack him. They're locking down the hill right now, as it looks like the boys on A trying to get forward. It looks like they will successfully take over the hard point just like that. The remaining 13 seconds will go their way. As now, taking a look at turret, we'll see who does have the early position, who has the things kind of locked down. As you also see the smokes actually putting in use. Not sure exactly who is kind of currently throwing those or what side. It looks like Bxldyyy does have a smoke glass in his back pocket, so looks like the guys on HavoK Esports are the ones tossing out those smokes and trying to be a little bit of a nuisance, rocking a kind of unknown strategy, to say the least. I know we've seen smoke grenades, we've seen gas grenades as well, rocked in hard points in the past, and I think a lot of teams, not that they haven't discovered the fact of, you know, certain tacticals being very useful, but, I mean, honestly, if you throw, you know, on certain, especially hard points, I think Search and Destroy, it's fair to say that smokes and gas grenades are obviously used, along with, you know, tacticals and whatnot, but just generally, as this is a very nice line set from Kade. Not a lot of people know about this one, but tagging Legend up in that top K position. But generally, I think when it comes into smokes, when it comes down to gas grenades, I think a lot of those can definitely kind of go under the radar as far as like usefulness, because a lot of people kind of want to stack their classes, especially in the past when we had like the pick 10, pick 12 system, whatever it may be. Everyone wants the attachments on their guns. They want to be able to rock, you know, whatever it may be. But I think honestly now, people are starting to realize once we head back to boots on the ground that, hey, smokes are actually very useful. We can't just exo boost or, you know, jump over smokes anymore. We can't really dodge any of these things. These are going to be in our line sight, you know, 3 out of the 4 times that we try and rush inside of a hard point. So I think they're very useful things to be looking out for, and I think a lot of the teams who can kind of form these early strategies can definitely have an advantage. I think it's fair to say. But still looking on here, 2-point differential as things get tied up back and forth. Is this current hard point here in pit center, but Danglez currently locking things down for the boys on A. And I know we kind of talked about HavoK Esports. Of course, for the guys on A, we do have Pemby, probably one of the most notable players on this particular roster. As JBDanglez did not put on the correct pistol there. Of course, machine pistol is the one that you want to be rocking. Not sure if he just prefers that or not, but hey, I'm not exactly sure. But still, when it comes into the boys on A, you're definitely looking at Pemby, of course, previously a player for Panda Gaming. Has also played a number of different known rosters, but I believe so far in World War II, played for the Gosu crew, along with, I believe it was Human Jesus, Clink, and I'm going to say Fastball. That team, I believe, played in quite a few 2Ks. I want to say they played at Dallas as well. But still, of course, I guess the roster just didn't really work out, and he's trying to find other options. And not really too familiar with Legend and Fraxiile. I have heard their names, and I want to say that at least Fraxiile has competed at a tournament. Not 100% sure about Legend or not, but at least I have heard of their names in the past. But Danglez is also a guy that I've been able to watch a little bit. I know that he, I believe, is currently a free agent. Previously played for Imperfection, alongside of like Gravity, Carbon, and Huddle, I think, as well. So obviously played on the main stage and now has an opportunity to try and make something happen with this A team. Not exactly sure if they have an organization in line, but of course, trying to play as a roster potentially. Could be a team heading forward. I know I just kind of like to assume that every team that we have in our UMG tournaments, it just happened to be a roster waiting to happen. But like I said, this could definitely be a group that tries to form together. Focusing attention back here on Castle Road. Danglez doing a great job at trying to lock things down as Bxldyyy drops, and just like that, the smokes are going to come out for Bxldyyy, and this is a perfect strategy to rocket on. I was talking about these overall positions when it comes into Castle Road that you need to hold. When you have a smoke in your face, the artillery barrage actually gets earned for MRuiz. That is huge. That is massive when it comes down to the overall scheme of the game. With Bxldyyy tossing out these smokes, this kind of eliminates the overall advantage that the defensive team has when it comes to locking down Castle Road. Because, of course, I talked about kind of someone always hitting on a head glitch, but if you have kind of players entering in through those smokes, it can constantly be a surprising factor. So, very solid strat coming in from the guys on HavoK Esports. And let's take a look at that scorecard right now. It is, despite the smoke strategies, it is the guys on A currently with that advantage. 170 to 124. Rotation coming in now toward turret. And it looks like player number 2, Kade, currently locking down time inside of that. Desperately trying to get back in this game. And, of course, with the 200 mark, definitely on the approach. You need to make sure you're as close as possible, if not already at the 200-point mark, despite your teammates. But smokes being tossed out like crazy. MRuiz rocking that artillery barrage, trying to do some damage. Does hold off the line sight for the time. And you see, limited vision right now for the boys on A. Having some issues trying to enter inside of that hill. And Kade desperately needs to find something here. And this particular play shuts down one on Legend, tries to find the second onto Pemby. JBDanglez is inside of the hill. 2 1-versus-1s going down at the moment. And Kade needs to win both of them. And I believe the teammate support is there. Yes, MRuiz from afar is able to drop one, but continuous fire coming in through middle cut as Bxldyyy will win that overall gun engagement. Switches back to the STG-44 and will get dropped. So as Holler finds the expiring few seconds, we are rotating back here toward middle map. As taking a look at the outliers right now, Fraxiile sitting at 25 and 19. As MRuiz will come in with the streaks yet again, 20 and 17. Of course, already earning the artillery barrage along with the fighter pilot. Looks like Pemby as well has some streaks to work with. And some fights going on here toward that turret side. Bxldyyy doing a pretty decent job when it comes to that SMG. And you see the focus for the blue arrows right now being the boys in HavoK Esports. Keeping in mind their rotation, it's getting ready to be coming in toward the second hard point. You see the red arrows now. Of course, the guys on A trying to realize such. As Holler desperately trying to get back toward middle to limit what could be the expiring players off mid. Holler backs up, and now the position is now up to come forward. And MRuiz picking off one. But player number 8 has escaped. Pemby is back here holding spawns for his team, and we'll see how these spawns get ready to go. If he can pick up one on the flank, that could definitely guarantee his team a huge amount of momentum. But yes, shuts down MRuiz, but unfortunately drops quickly after that. And Kade trying to pick up the pace after that sneaky play coming in from Pemby. But just like that, player number 8 in the back, Pemby, yes, they've got the good spawns, but despite that, it is currently the boys on HavoK Esports trying to hop inside of the hard point. But for how much longer? The battle's currently taking place. And Bxldyyy trying to lock down some time inside of the hard point, doing that successfully, despite not having the spawns in their favor. And now Danglez coming from the flank. Can he find anything? Yes, shuts down the player inside of the hill. Pistol out, but no damage done. And just like that, despite holding those spawns, granted, it does delay a few moments or a few seconds, but generally Pemby's overall play doesn't play out as huge as it looked to. And you're going to see Bxldyyy hop out of that hill. He says, granted, there are, a few seconds left inside of that hill, but I'm going to focus my attention, let my teammates get the scrap time. And you see him switching back towards stuns. Trying to linger at the players through middle. Nice reaction on the Fraxiile. Tries to find the second, and yes, 2 big kills earned. Despite the spawn toward the backside, Bxldyyy doing his best to be the front line for the boys on HavoK. Does get dropped. 2 players fall in Holler. Realizing the spawn control ends up dropping, but just like that, Bxldyyy and MRuiz as well have spawned back here. Can they hold on? Can they make this flank happen? Player number 2 is up, and yes, they're spawning inside a cave, but only 10 more seconds left needed for the boys on A to close out this game number 1. Players entering in from either side. 6 players dropping the kill feed, but who will grab the overall control? Big 1 versus 1. Pemby needs to win, and yes, Pemby will do it, and that should solidify the game as streaks are coming down, but no one's inside the hard point. No one's is inside the hard point right now. Fraxiile finds 2, and the last few seconds will expire with no one from A inside of the hill. Rotation now being made toward turret. It's a race to this hill. Who can get here? Fraxiile trying to limit the boys on HavoK from getting there, and Bxldyyy gets greeted with 3. 5 seconds left. Can A hold this one down? And yes, kills starting to go their way. Last second of contention, and it won't matter. Just like that, it will end 250 to 183 as A win map number 1 here on Gibraltar in very exciting fashion. That's for sure, man. Very exciting fashion, to say the least, as we see the kills kind of going down there at the end. But despite it being 250 to 183, of course, I don't want to say it was a dominant scoreline by any means, but this was a pretty close hard point. I mean, coming down to certain rotations and whatnot, we saw some very close plays, some huge 1v1s going down. But overall, Fraxiile finishes off 38 and 28. Necessarily doesn't grab a whole lot of time when it comes down to the objective, but it really doesn't have to, right? He kind of obviously relies on that slang. I know Pemby was a big fan of the FG42, now swapping back over toward that bar. Obviously plays pretty well when it comes to the overall objective for his team. But Danglez finishing off 22 and 26, but 2 minutes and 32 seconds inside of the hill. This team just kind of overall for A screams, roles, right? We see obviously one player doesn't really hop inside the hill, or he's kind of doing his job getting the kills down. You see one player who's not really doing a whole lot in the slang, but he's getting time inside the hard point. So definitely the roles were kind of played out well for the guys on A. One thing that I really liked, though, from HavoK, and I think that this was a, when we talk about that E6 kind of brand, that E6 identity, things that they were known for, this kind of overall group in the past, whether it was, of course, 2 out of the 4 right now in Holler, or excuse me, in MRuiz and Kade, E6 was known for the kind of outlier strategies, things that weren't really known to a lot of other teams back in Advanced Warfare, back in Black Ops 3. So I really like the strategy that they kind of bring out. Of course, Bxldyyy was a huge kind of frontline man, played very well in the respawn, got to grant it to him. I don't believe he finishes off positive, but still does a lot of work. But he was tossing out the smokes on Gibraltar. And when it comes down to Castle Road, that is a big hard point where, honestly, if you just have an AR holding a head glitch, you can just mow down people. So I like the idea of at least having one player toss out the smokes to kind of limit that overall advantage that you would normally get. So, major props to the guys on HavoK Esports. Despite not winning map number 1, the strategies were there. And, granted, if they were to play that map again, I think, honestly, we could have seen a little bit of a different result. Just based off the plays from A that we were seeing, players kind of getting up in the scoreline. I think we end up seeing MRuiz gain an artillery barrage, but despite that, obviously does not finish off with the victory. So, to me, I'm pretty surprised, to be honest with you. I was thinking that we were to see HavoK kind of walk away with game number 1 at least pretty easily in the books. However, though, it is the boys on A who make a little bit of a surprise and win map number 1 on our minimum 44 variant here on December 28th. It's myself, Lano, here live in the UMG studio, hopping in here toward our map number 2 on Arden Forest for some search and destroy between HavoK Esports and the guys over on A. We apologize here for the round number 1 issue with us being stuck in the overhead perspective, but once the round does conclude, we'll obviously be hopping back into the action. But I believe a team kill coming in off the start from the guys on A. But despite that, it is currently the boys on HavoK Esports who are down in the round. Kade left at a 1 versus 2 as both players sitting inside of ruins as he will get picked off there on B step. So an early round gained. And that's exactly what you want after winning map number 1. Is continuing with that momentum, kind of trying to advance on, acting as if map number 1 and map number 2 are kind of like in the same. And trying to keep HavoK Esports down. So a solid round number 1 victory, as I believe, like I said, we saw the sniper rifle coming out. Not exactly sure who it was from, but you can definitely see it on the defensive end a lot of the time. Yeah, it looks like Fraxiile, watching through that mid-cut, can pick off Holler, and yes, finds that one. The early pick gained, and when you're on offense, that's big to find. It's very crucial at that. What kills happening, MRuiz takes out Danglez and will escape with his life for the time being. I say that just as that happens, the nade is there to greet him at his feet, but Kade in the opposite end actually was rocking a sniper rifle throughout this round as well for the boys on HavoK and needs to make a play happen. 1 versus 2. And Legend has that bomb in hand. Question being, do they make the rotation over toward A? And B, honestly, Kade could be anywhere. And unfortunately, Kade gets a leg shot. That's a pretty frustrating moment if you are on Kade's point of view, as the sniper rifle shot gets exchanged from Fraxiile, and being very aware of the man that he's facing off against. He's making the play forward and just happens to be in a corner. Not one that you're really going to see happen very often. So Kade not looking in that right corner. You know, granted, at this bomb site, honestly, it was kind of a... It's a matter of who's going to get there first, right? Kade obviously gets the leg shot. Honestly, if that kill goes his way, he has the overall advantage when it comes down to being inside of ruins. Why? Because he could be anywhere at any time, but since obviously the fact that the leg shot comes in, that obviously grants the guys on A little bit of a second life, if you will. Having a 2-on-1 advantage, they get the bomb down successfully. They make Kade kind of back up with the sniper rifle play on toward B. Definitely makes things kind of awkward, but obviously looking here at round number 3. The boys on HavoK need a round, and they toss up the smokes. They were very prone when it came down to Gibraltar, and obviously here in Search and Destroy as well. Trying to limit that sniper rifle who could be toward back cabin. And they're kind of funnel in here toward ruins as MRuiz finding the first kill off the break. Granite gets traded as Pemby finding 2. Potential third in his midst as it will be Kade who escapes with a headshot, and Kade finds 2 just like that. So doubles being exchanged, and Danglez trying to pick off Bxldyyy on the bomb site. And Danglez will get picked off in the end, as it will be a hold in a first round granted for the boys on HavoK Esports, so they can kind of have a little bit of a sigh of relief. And just trying to get back, not just in this map, but in this series, because of course we're playing best of 3s, right? You lose one map, and just like that, you're already 1 map away from being eliminated. No double elimination here. But it looks like early stuns tossed out, as Pemby will most likely head toward the head glitch. And very curious to see what a lot of the bar players are actually rocking as far as their attachments. Of course, you see quick draw as well as just the regular reticle implemented. And I'm curious to see the difference between players. Of course, you're most likely going to see quick draw become more of a thing when it comes into assault rifles. I know a lot of players with the FG were talking about, you know, do you use kind of advanced rifling or do you rock quick draw? A lot of the guys on TK at Dallas had a lot of success with the non-quick draw usage, but big 1 versus 1, and Bxldyyy, I believe, is there for the trade. PPSH play will be there for the pickup. And there's only a few bullets were needed to take out Legend, and honestly, just good overall challenge from Legend. I know, granted, it doesn't look like he's looking the right direction, so it makes it look like a dumb play, but generally he realizes that he's one shot, he's inside of you. Literally any player could be coming from any point of view, so just try to go for the pre-fire. Granted, it doesn't work out in his way, but better than kind of hiding in a corner and checking every direction that you possibly can. So you see those smokes coming out, and I like that play from Kade. Toss out the smoke. That's what's going to be for his teammates, to make sure that they can advance themselves in toward that site. But that's exactly what the boys on HavoK are thinking, or excuse me, what the boys on A are thinking. They're thinking that, hey, they're most likely making their way toward B, but in fact, the smoke gets tossed out, and that's not at all the case. The rush toward A is actually being made. So A is going to A. I'm not going to say that ever again, I promise. I just had to say it once. But Fraxiile in the back lines right now. And I was going to say, I was thinking in map number 1 that we weren't seeing players rock. I believe it's the P08, I believe is the pistol name. But with the recent change to the machine pistol, it could be more of a swap toward certain players rocking and preferring a different pistol. So, peek. Thank you very much, Fraxiile. Finds 1, tries to find the second, spots the head just inside a cabin, but isn't able to stay alive for much longer. So, HavoK Esports, I believe, what, 3 rounds in a row, trying to bring themselves back into this one. As Holler's clan tag says sad. Maybe he's a little bit sad. Maybe he's trying to get happy. Who knows? Maybe a map number 2 victory can make him at least content. I don't know. I think a CTF win in map number 3, if they get to that point, would make him happy. But speaking on Holler, I'm actually a really big fan of this guy. I was able to kind of watch him play a lot throughout Black Ops 3 in different, it was like, what, Perfect Alliance league matches and whatnot throughout the kind of amateur scene, as the teammate actually comes in, I believe, for the boys on A, and that's going to leave Pemby in a pretty awkward spot. But, you know, like I said, Holler, very well-known player when it comes into Canada, has played on a number of different organizations, and I believe he actually played on TK for a short time, and I was actually able to watch him play at a tournament in Canada, kind of a local tournament in Canada called EGLX, where he actually ended up facing off against Exotic in the grand finals. That's how Exotic kind of got his overall name in the competitive scene, was Holler spawning him, and, of course, he kind of brought him alongside of TK back in Black Ops 3, but Holler, very talented player with an assault rifle. I mean, like I said, throughout a lot of amateur league matches, a lot of long nights, I was able to watch this guy play, and just overall was a huge force with that, and played incredibly well. And he continues to rock that assault rifle throughout different Call of Duties, whether it's in the skies or on the ground. Bxldyyy on the flank is able to pick off one, as the smokes are definitely kind of continually being a problem, as Fraxiile, I believe, picks up 2 here at the end. What exactly happens here? Let's watch this one again. Oh, it's actually JBDanglez, excuse me. Oh, Danglez. Great reaction there onto Bxldyyy, as I believe it was Fraxiile who picked up the other, or at least gets the assistance, but still, round by round, back and forth we go, as it will be the boys on A who get a response here, but of course, currently down in the round count. 4 rounds to 3. It looks like the rush toward A could definitely be made. I'm curious, does Kade have a sniper rifle, or does he just have a regular AR? At least it looks like he has a regular AR, yes. So first blood found from Holler, that's big. Offensive team already at a disadvantage, now have an even bigger one, as they've already lost 2 members. Make it 3 members. Fraxiile kind of living up to the name, as he will drop. As it's now 5 rounds to 3. And like I said, it was just overall a swing of momentum that has been granted for the guys on HavoK Esports. Once they got a round under their belt, that's when they started to kind of progress things and obviously started to advance. And you can't let these guys get momentum. That's what I was talking about earlier on when we saw the 1-0 in round count, the 2-0 in round count for A. I was like, okay, this is exactly what they need. They need to kind of destroy their confidence. They need to kind of just keep things going, make it seem as if map number 1 and map number 2 are the same thing. But it looks like that's not currently being the case, as it will be an offensive rush. Yet again, smokes being a factor, and looks like a kill will be traded. And with HavoK, you know, of course, displaying in other offensive rounds that, hey, we're not afraid to go toward that A site. That's obviously going to be a continuous thing that we see from the guys on A if this round does continue on. If we see another offensive round for HavoK be granted, they're always going to have to at least have one player sent toward that A site. It's because of that awareness that a interesting strategy could be made at any moment. But a 2 versus 3, Holler is able to pick off Fraxiile on a very solid head glitch. So 2-on-2, bomb is not in their hands whatsoever. And honestly, it's going to be a matter of who can spot the other, who can peek the other, who can get the timing. As Legend can walk into this fight. Yes, he ends up falling, and just like that, Pemby is the last alive. Pemby holding on to this head glitch. But now it's up to Bxldyyy. He's going to have to challenge him head on. Why? Because he doesn't have the bomb in his hands. Bomb is in an awkward position, and Pemby is just trying to lock things down. And honestly, if you're Bxldyyy in this position, you're very aware that he could be advancing forward. But no, Bxldyyy might catch him off guard. And yes, Bxldyyy right here. Can he find the kill? And yes, a huge 2 versus 3 as Bxldyyy catches Pemby off guard. Pemby has no idea that he escaped behind him, the dolphin dive onto the bomb site. As we see the boys on HavoK Esports finish off the search and destroy 6 rounds to 3. And just like that, we're seeing more Armed Force. We're seeing CTF. Can Holler finally be content, or will he be happy? As he's just rocking the Sad Clan tag, to be honest with you. But still, huge play there coming in from Bxldyyy. I think we can kind of break down that play a little bit more, but just generally, you're in a 1 versus 1. Bxldyyy, of course, finds, I want to say it might have been Danglez or Fraxiile, kind of side peeking. No, it was Legend. Sorry, he ends up peeking Fraxiile, kind of, or I keep saying Fraxiile. Picks off Legend, who's kind of peeking around the corner. And in that position, you're in a 1 versus 1. Honestly, he gets fantastic timing because I think if you're in Pemby's perspective, right, you're thinking, okay, hey, this guy is around the corner. He's going to try to make a play. I mean, he has a sub, right? And with that being the case, I just had to hold my head glitch. But he has to go for the reload. He backs up. And just as he backs up, for a split second, for like maybe a half a second, maybe a second in total, he isn't looking toward where Bxldyyy was at. And so as that happens, Bxldyyy kind of rounds the corner. He obviously dolphin dives forward, and he's fully aware that Pemby has no idea where his location is. So he kind of prones his way around. Obviously, Pemby just happens to hop down the head glitch, and Bxldyyy is there for the pickup. And nearly, it was a turn on that we ended up seeing coming from Pemby. So just overall, massive play coming in from Bxldyyy, especially the guys on HavoK Esports, winning this one in a 6-3 fashion. And thinking about it, right? If that clutch doesn't go Bxldyyy's way, CTF on, I believe it's supposed to be Arn Forest, but they're playing London Docks. Not 100% sure on that. But regardless of that, if that play doesn't go forward, that's 5-4 round count. It's 5-4 round count. We most likely don't see a like I said, a dominant victory coming from HavoK Esports. That could have been a massive comeback for the guys on A. So just overall, solid play from Bxldyyy, solid plays overall for the guys on HavoK Esports as they do advance here into this map number 3. So I'm curious to see what the overall count is for what's going on exactly. Not 100% sure, but we'll obviously get that figured out. But generally, we should be hopping in here shortly to this CTF. And like I said, very curious to see if this one does obviously play out. Do the guys on HavoK kind of get that momentum? Or do we see the guys on A try to get the respawns back in their favor? Of course, that will be the case. But I believe we are going to be heading to a commercial break. I think we are having a little bit of an issue with the CTF. We'll obviously get that figured out. But still, HavoK Esports, are they on the rise? Can they bring this one back? Ladies and gentlemen, it is map number 3 time. We're heading back toward the forest. We never really left. But still, it is the quarterfinals taking place here between HavoK Esports and the boys on A as we load in here for some CTF to decide who will advance and who will be sent home packing, as it looks like the first 2 kills going down. Actually, the first 3 taking place, as it'll be the boys on HavoK Esports trying to make their way forward as 4 go down, and just like that, a quick grab here for Bxldyyy, as he could be good to go. And take a look at those red arrows. They're just trying to advance forward as far as they can. Player number 5 just trying to escape out of the base is Frax, but it looks like he's not going to be able to get much closer toward that flag, as play number 6, being Pemby, I don't believe is going to be in a position to shut this one down. So no, not going to go the way. So within the first, 43 seconds of this map being put underway, it is the boys on HavoK Esports who do the work necessary, as MRuiz, starting off 3-0, does get picked off, but still looking on the flag ground on the opposite end for Danglez. As the overextension gets made, he's going to have a lot of teammate support to be granted. I believe that stun comes in from Bxldyyy. But Danglez is still advancing, and just like that, we're going to see a return flag made. So 2 flags going down in just a matter of, what, a minute or so? A minute and 15 seconds? Response being shown between both of these teams that, hey, we can either make a dominant push, or, hey, we can also be sneaky. The overall strategies being shown from either team is when it comes into Arn Forest, it will be a little bit of a grind, but at least right now, HavoK Esports, I think, in my opinion, is going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage, just because when it comes down to your overall kind of spawning in your base, it can be difficult to try to get a team push forward. He's trying to advance as Bxldyyy picks off 1. Trying to watch the cuts right now for his opposition, but no, it will be Frax still on with that flag. And we'll score that one in the end. So 2-1 advantage right now for the boys on A, as Pemby takes down MRuiz, holding that side corner. But like I said, generally, I think currently HavoK is spawning on that back bunker side. And I think due to the kind of congestedness or the kind of small area that you end up spawning in, whether it's in back bunker or toward Bell, essentially if you get 3 or 4 down, you can easily make it your way through forest. And as long as you have one guy sitting through mid, you kind of pick off players. If you have one guy kind of sitting maybe even as well in ruins, you're going to pick off people like crazy. So with that in mind, Frax doing some work, as I believe he's close to streaks. I believe he actually earns one there, but not exactly sure. But it looks like he ends up falling. MRuiz continuing to toss up those smokes, man. As we've seen, I always want to say E6, but we've seen the boys in HavoK Esports rock them in every single map and combination so far in this tournament, whether it's in Hardpoint, Search and Destroy, or CTF. And I think when it comes down to the second side, something to kind of keep in mind as we are just under 2 minutes left in the first half. When we watch the guys on HavoK swap sides, if they even just, honestly, they're running at least 2 players with smokes at one time. And if they can kind of toss that smoke out into both spawns for where the opposition is going to be spawning at, they can easily get a flag out pretty quickly. It can have the overall enemy blind at all times. So, with that being the case, Streaks coming in, and MRuiz is just trying to weather the storm right now. And could be making it forward. Can MRuiz get here in time? But no, here comes Frax with the Streaks. Just a little bit early, as MRuiz should be good to get this one in. Holler's watching the cut, and here comes the rush being made. Yes, this will be a capture in response, as we're going to see 2-2 with just a hair over a minute remaining in this first half. When one team starts to get a little bit of a lead or advantage, the other is quick to respond back. So, with that in mind, Frax holding a very close angle toward that right side cave curb. As actually, look at Holler really quick. Oh no, Holler ends up getting dropped. So just smart play coming in. As Danglez falls and 3 go down just like that. I believe 7 players dropping right now, as Legend is saying it's a little bit too quiet right now in the forest. The snow is coming down. And with only 35 seconds left, can someone get a last-second grab? As Kade happened to be the anchor in the back of the base, and he gets picked off. And Holler is wondering, where exactly are these players lingering? Tries to take a OOG, and yes, does exactly that. Can't shut down Danglez, though, and Danglez is trying to escape. But is anyone here to stop him is the thing, and yes, I believe they are there to stop him. Player number 1 does pick him off, and Bxldyyy is there for the return. Huge play coming in from HavoK to shut down that last-second grab that could have potentially come in from A. But speaking on that, MRuiz might have escaped the smokes, or blinding the spawn and just trying to round the corner, as he might be able to do this. Holler taking out 2. Frax is trying to stay alive as player number 7 is on the chase. OOG is holding this fire corner. Can he get it? But no, MRuiz wins a huge 1 versus 1. Can he get the flag in is the question. Frax trying to fire the last few expiring shots. MRuiz trying to get this one in. Is he there in time? And yes, he will be able to get that flag in. HavoK Esports at the end of the first half will be up 3-2. We were talking about constantly throughout the end of that first half. Well, can the guys on A grab a flag? Bxldyyy obviously makes a huge 1 versus 1 where he's able to get the return. And just as I was talking about one side, we had to focus on HavoK Esports because they get a huge advantage. And honestly, A kind of reveals their cards at the end of that first half, right? They try to go for a last-second push. Doesn't work out for them. They all die. And due to them all dying on their offense, it turns into, from a defensive play, they're into an offensive one for HavoK Esports. So once they shut down A on defense, they're able to make an offensive play work out of it. And MRuiz goes for a grab and wins a huge 1 versus 1 to give his team the advantage. Both teams, of course, played fairly aggressively off the break. Of course, we saw at the beginning of the first half, right? It was a 45-second flag grab, and then I think immediately it was a response that came in from the boys on A. But still looking on. Bxldyyy just running the corner, tries to take out Fraxiile, and yes, is able to do that. So 3 going down, and this is what I'm talking about. Once they have these smokes in hand, Bxldyyy just, of course, watching toward that bell side, could be trying to limit the spawns, and due to that, Frax actually finds a huge kill onto Bxldyyy, and then picking off him, that's going to shut down the entire push. So what we're going to be seeing quite a bit from the guys on HavoK that the rest of this CTF game is them being aware, trying to maybe utilize those smokes once they can get toward the base, because once they do that, they know exactly where to toss those smokes toward. They can toss them toward bell, toss them toward back bunker, and that can just be a continuous problem that whenever you're spawning up to a smoke in your face, and you can't even see where that flag is going, especially with that ping delay on the mini-map. So A is going to have to be constantly aware that we can't honestly drop in quick succession. We can't allow to go 3, 4 down, because if so, with us already being at a disadvantage in the overall score, it definitely caused some problems. So with that, Danglez as well as Frax finding 2. Frax finding the 3rd, and Danglez finds the 4th. MRuiz, the last person to spawn up. He's just trying to hide in his own base. He actually calls in the streaks, I believe. Or no, I thought he was actually cleaning streaks for a second. I thought he might be able to do that, but no, actually gets picked off there from OOG. And Frax is now on the run, 3 drop. And Holler in the back of the base is not going to be in a position to stop this one, so a successful push gets made from the boys on A as they're now going to level things up at 3-3. And they're still in the base right now. OOG and Pemby are still in the base at the moment. Pemby going to go and grab the flag. And he's just trying to escape inside of Ruins, but no, he ends up dropping Frax from the side. Picks off 1. Can he find the 2nd? But no, Holler is there for the return. Big return coming in for the boys on HavoK Esports, because if not, Frax was ready and waiting. But speaking on Frax, he's on a roll right now. He's got streaks to work with. He's got a fighter pilot, glide bomb, as well as the artillery barrage, I believe. Or was it the mortar strike? I honestly can't remember. I think that was the... I believe it was the artillery, yeah. So, big streaks earned when it comes down to this particular CTF map. As here comes the fighter pilot from above that I believe it is indeed Frax. Yes, it takes out MRuiz. Out close and personal fight. Kade is able to win this one inside of Ruins. But this is going to be a grind. Players trying to build up those streaks. As Pemby, honestly, you know, granted, it wasn't the worst of challenges because, of course, he does have some teammate support, but push being made, and just like that, here comes the artillery barrage. Here comes the streaks. This can definitely do some damage. The fighter pilot from above from MRuiz. Can he get anyone? Yes, takes out the flag carrier. No one is there to support him. Player number 8 is trying to go for the grab. Who will be here in time? Player number 8 versus player number 2. Who can get there? Danglez grabs it and can't win the fight versus Kade. 2 go down along with the 3rd excess. And it looks like OG drops in the base. So back and forth we go as Holler could be away with this one, trying to dolphin dive his way to getting an advantage. And a huge advantage it would be, as just with under a minute remaining, they're able to get this one in. So yes, HavoK Esports are now up 4-3. Back and forth we go, but can A secure a last-second grab is the question. Danglez, currently inside of the base along with his teammate, picks off Bxldyyy. And trying to escape with this one. Can he advance his position? But no one. Someone's right behind him. Can he escape around the corner? But no, a huge pickoff found from Holler. The other flag is out, though. And Kade trying to put the nail in the coffin. If he can round this corner and get this flag in, he just has to go for the dolphin dive. If he can escape, he can be good. OOG dies. Pemby is not here for the stoppage. And just like that, this one should be done for. Kade just going to sit in the corner. He's got the flamethrower out, and he's feeling toasty. Spots out Frax from behind, as he is quite literally cooking right now. As I believe Kade shuts down his own teammate Bxldyyy. I was going to say might be on accident, but no. MRuiz takes out Holler. And just like that, this series will come to a close as HavoK win this one in map number 3. 5 flags to 3. And obviously win the overall series 2-1. And advance themselves actually to the semifinals now. But a back-and-forth game. Like I said, we were talking about constantly throughout that CTF. It was a matter of, you know, you do one thing, I can do better. You do this, I can do that. Like, it was just a matter of response after response after response. HavoK would go up a flag, then A would be there for a pickup just after that. But still, of course, the final scorecard here, Holler finishing off 20-18, along with Kade finishing off 19-17. But you can overall see pretty much a standard scoreline, whether it was the 18 to 17 to 20 range, really just overall a matter of just kind of overall similarities when it comes down to that overall kill total. So obviously a very close game toward the end, but we end up seeing a very kind of clutch cap coming in from Kade there at the end. So with that, the guys on A had a very solid series, I think it's fair to say. Like I said, they won that first hardpoint on Gibraltar, 250 to 183. But you have to be thinking in the back of your mind, right? When it kind of comes down to Gibraltar, it's a map that's not really played, you know, very often. So if we're going to see a hardpoint victory kind of be an upset, it's most likely going to be on that map. So I think it's fair to say that maybe if it was an Arden Forest, and thankfully it wasn't because there would have been 3 Arden Forests in a row, but if it was like a St. Marie Dumont or something like that, maybe we see the guys on HavoK Esports probably win this one in a 2-0. But still, you have to hand it off to A. Frax, and I believe, ends up finishing off very, very well in map number 1. Has a pretty high scoreline to kind of advance his team to obviously winning that one. Of course, in the search story, it was Arden Forest that ended up going HavoK's way. They win that one 6 rounds to 3 in pretty dominant fashion. And then, of course, here in Arden Forest, they end up winning this one 5-3 as well. So with that, Arden Forest is obviously one where HavoK Esports feels pretty confident on. They can kind of hide in that snow and, of course, toss up those smokes, because that was constantly a problem that we saw from the guys on A, is that they just couldn't see, right? It was a matter of tossing out a smoke toward a normal sight line that you're not able to look at. And despite them not winning that first hardpoint on Gibraltar, I thought, honestly, the smoke strategy was brilliant. Like, I was just like, how has no one thought of that? Or has that not really been a thing? I just haven't really been seeing smokes being tossed on hardpoint in Gibraltar often, if ever at all. So I just overall like that strategy a lot, and I'm very curious to see how, especially guys like HavoK, or HavoK Esports, excuse me, the guys on HavoK, kind of advance with the weapon comp as it currently stands with those bars. You know, does it feel comfortable for Holler? Does it feel comfortable for Kade? We obviously saw Bxldyy's insane play in Search and Destroy to kind of take out Pemby, and that 1v1 to kind of close out in that round number 9. So just a lot of momentum plays, but overall smart plays as well coming in from HavoK, as they feel pretty confident heading into the semifinal, you'd like to imagine. But of course, before we head to a commercial break and get our next series underway here for tonight's tournament,